Hello, class. This is Dr. Thompson. I wanted to come to you today and be as brief as I can and explain a few things about the persuasive essay, the research paper that is so important. 25%, I think, of your final grade, if I remember correctly. Yes, 25%. So this is the last 2 weeks of the semester will be spent with this essay, and you certainly need to do a good job on it. For the sample persuasive essay assignment, first of all, you're supposed to read these 4 essays, and then you need to I can't scroll down for some reason. Why I can't scroll down? Anyway, can I move that one? Yeah, okay, there we go. It says for each essay you should say what is the point, what's the main thesis of the essay, and then identify one fact, one statistic, one specific example, and one expert opinion. That's what you'll be doing in your essay. You're going to write on something controversial, some kind of issue that people disagree about. The wall, abortion, has been done a lot. I'd rather you stay away from abortion and legalization of marijuana, but I've read those essays a lot. But if you can't think of anything else, you could do those. The death penalty has been done a lot, but it works. You could do some kind of, gay marriage issue that's still out there, I guess. I can't think of others right now. Healthcare. Should we have Medicare for all that some of the Democrats are suggesting? Anyway, whatever topic you want to write about that's in the news. You need to read some newspapers or look around online, watch the news on television to see what issues are out there that you might have an opinion about. And it doesn't have to be political. It could be about sports. It could be should college athletes be paid? What are some steps Major League Baseball should take to improve its product? It could be anything that's controversial. The school related issues. Uniforms. Should we have school uniforms, or should we have an extended year? Year round school. Lots of different topics, and again, I do suggest at some point in here online, I suggest that you Google. You can just Google argumentative essay topics or persuasive essay topics, and you'll see lists just of hundreds of topics. And some are better than others. Some might work more than others. You need to be sure to choose a topic that is out there, that's pretty current, that you're going to find information about. Remember, part of this assignment is you have to research what other people say about this topic. And if you're picking an obscure topic that's not discussed very much, well, you're going to have a much more difficult time finding information. So I do urge you to choose topics that are current, that are topical, in today's world. But there'll be lists to give you suggestions. Anyway, so you have your thesis. Your thesis is your opinion. I think we should outlaw the death penalty. I think we should, parents should vaccinate their children. I think that we should build, the wall along the border with Mexico. Whatever your topic is, that's whatever your opinion is on that topic. That's your thesis. And then each body paragraph gives a different reason to support that thesis. If you're doing the death penalty, you could write about how much the death penalty costs. You could write about how the death penalty makes families of the victims feel. Is the death penalty, does it prevent future crime in some way? Is it racially biased in some way? Whatever your topics are, which support your thesis, obviously. And to support those topics, so say I want to talk about how the death penalty is racially biased. Well, I would need to give some examples, I would think. Some facts, examples. I could find some statistics of people who, from what I understand, the statistics show that it's not necessarily black people who are put to death more than whites, but certainly if the victim is white, someone is much more likely to get the death penalty than if the victim is black. So there is a racial component to the death penalty that you could write about. Of course, there are financial concerns. I've read papers that say the death penalty is more expensive, and I've read papers that say that life in prison is more expensive. You can probably find, facts to support either one, quite frankly. But you want to support that argument with facts or examples, specific examples. Students don't include enough examples in these things, in my opinion. Tell the story. If you're writing about how the death penalty is inhumane, tell the story of someone who suffered before they died. And, there are all kinds of stories out there about that with lethal injection or the electric chair or whatever. Tell stories about someone you know or someone you find in your research that supports your topic. Those are always effective. But you also want some facts and some statistics. Statistics, remember, are just, facts with numbers, right? They're, percentages and numbers. Those are always effective. And then the last topic is expert opinions. Now, everyone has an opinion. You can tell that I have opinions about things. I can give you my opinion all day long, but who cares what my opinion is? I'm not an expert. I might be an expert in certain areas, but overall, most areas I'm not an expert. I've just got an opinion. That's the way most of us all are, right? So, anyway, find experts, doctors who have something to say about abortions or about, immunizations or whatever. People, who work in prisons, who've witnessed, people being put to death and maybe have an opinion about it. So, find experts, and in your paper, you should kind of make sure it's clear they are experts. This person, I'm going to quote John Doe here, but John Doe isn't just John Doe. John Doe is a doctor who has performed many abortions, or John Doe is a prison warden who has presided over people being put to death. Be sure you establish this person as an expert in your paper. And so those are the 4 things you're looking for in these essays. Facts, examples, statistics, expert opinions, for this assignment. And they all may not have it. There may be one every now and then that doesn't really have an expert opinion or doesn't have a whatever. But for the most part, they should have, stories about specific people. Those are examples, or specific, incidents. And then, of course, facts. We all know what facts are. And then statistics with numbers and expert opinions, from experts, people who have conducted studies. For example, people, they cite a study. That would be more of an expert opinion, I guess, in a way. So that would work. And some of these are interchangeable, I know. Anyway, so I wanted to be sure you understood the difference in those things. Otherwise, the assignment itself, I think, is pretty self-explanatory here. This paper will be longer, 4 to 6 type pages. You do need 4 to 6 outside sources. And they provide facts, examples, statistics, or expert opinions. They should come from a GNTC database. If you go to the home page of GNTC, let's see if I can do that real quick. GNTC.edu. I have not, whoops, I messed it up and put an extra Y there. Anyway, GNTC, and I did not prepare to do this, so it's going to take me a little bit maybe. Okay, go to library. Under my resources, go to library. And then now I think you can just type your topic in here. Now, if I just type in, say, abortion and search, well, my goodness gracious, I want to get thousands, tens of thousands of hits, 288,000, hundreds of thousands of articles. The more targeted your search, the better. So let's say we're going to look at botched abortions, women who have had abortions and it didn't go well for whatever reason. Well, then there's only 1,000. So if I want to write a paragraph, if I'm against abortions and I want to write a paragraph about how sometimes they are botched, sometimes women are harmed or even killed by them, I guess, then I want to be specific in my search. If I want to look up the cost of the death penalty, that's a much more targeted search than just death penalty. So target your search when you're searching. And then, okay, here's one here, the cost of the death penalty. I'm just going to see what this is. You want to be sure that it says full text available. That's what I was hoping I could find. You want to be sure that you can click and go to the full text. Now, it tells you here to click on that to get the full text. And these are all really good articles. If you're in a GNTC database, if you follow the steps that I just took you through, you're going to find good, reliable information. And so here we go. And obviously you'd have to read this, and then this would be your source. You would cite this source in the paper, and you would list it on your works cited page. And I'll explain that very briefly in a second. But anyway, that's your best bet. That's the best bet to find good information, for your sources. If you need to just do a generic Google search, maybe for one source, maybe, but as a rule, I'd rather you stay in the databases because I know those are unbiased, reliable sources. I've had students before years ago at the high school level, right, about, say, gun control, and every source they have is the NRA. Well, you know, the NRA is a biased source. The NRA, I'm not saying they're a bunch of liars, but they're going to tilt their information, obviously, to support their position. The ACLU and other groups will do that as well. So if you stay in the databases, you won't have that problem. You'll find good information. And again, all you have to do is just, after you go to library, under resources, you just type your search into that, I've lost it. You just type your search into that, you know, that bar that pops up. My resources, my resources, library, and just type it under here, Primo, and that's all you have to do. And again, each one of those is a potential source, remember. You know, with abortion, remember, we had 288,000 articles, but that's 288,000 potential sources. So you should be fine there. You should find all the information you need just by doing that. The other thing I wanted to mention briefly was just how to write a research paper. I have a whole separate video on that, actually. So you click here on this video. No, where is it? Here. It's this one right here. This is the YouTube video. So this will explain about the works cited page and all that. So I'm not going to get into that now. There's a sample works cited page here that you can look at, and a sample paper here. And there's also all kinds of information here. So there's plenty of information to help you with this paper. Please let me know, though, if you have additional questions, and I'll be glad to help. I hope you have a wonderful day. And as always, I've enjoyed talking to you. Thank you.